we're getting another look. This was the scene at the start today. Charlie Quarterman in that magenta jersey there of his Corratec Selle Italia team, riding the final race of his career. Same for Dries Devenijns of Soudal Quickstep. And Francesco Gavazzi, waiting to find out if he's selected for the weekend. I think he'll be hoping to bow out at the Giro di Lombardia. Stefano Allocchio in town. Everybody through kilometre 0. And the attacks began. And Quarterman was the first to go to try and get in the break. British rider who's decided that there's enough worrying, enough insecurity and instability in cycling. He's going to go off now to concentrate on his economics degree, and we wish him a very happy retirement. This man's not going anywhere yet. Thomas Seguin was trying to go up the road, though. And it would be a long fight for the breakaway today. I can tell you that after 100 kilometres of racing, the average speed was in the high 40s still. All these early attacks didn't really materialise. Time to go live. And as you can see, they have been motoring along. It's been lightning fast stuff at the start of the 107th Giro del Piemonte, which is nowadays the Gran Piemonte. We're on the Faiallo climb, up to 758 metres. Average gradient of 5.4% for a good 5Ks or so, maximum in double digits. And this is the lead of the race. You can see from the graphic that they have just under 2 minutes of a gap. It's quite the story to tell so far. These are the riders up the road now. They are 14 of them, by the way. Muresa, Tejada, Burrati, with Youngles, Caicedo, Marcellusi. Tiemann Arendsman is there as well for the Ineos Grenadiers. It's a happy 37th birthday to Rui Costa, who's in the breakaway. Ugo Ull is there as well. Jacopo Mosca part of the breakaway. Dries Devenijns in his final ever professional bike race up the road, in his 17th season coming to an end. There's Sean Flynn. There is Michael Matthews, who's arguably the hard and headline name here. And Davide Formolo, who was in fine form, winning at the end of last week. It's the second of the breakaways that's been away today, because we had an early break of 3 riders. They then became 11. And I can tell that one man, Brian Smith, managed to be in both moves. He is Sean Flynn of DSM Firmenich. And behind, we have this situation where Jumbo-Visma with Wout van Aert are not involved. But it's not them who are doing most of the chasing here. We've got Jaco Alula at the front, setting the pace. We know that Simon Yates is here, but they are well represented up the road, of course, with Michael Matthews. It's an interesting scenario, this, Brian, and one that's moving at pace with just 45 kilometres to go.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised at this. Michael Matthews is there. The thing is, there's no dominant team in front. 14 separate teams. You have to think that, you know, last year's winner, Garcia Cortina, with Aramburu, who's been showing some pretty good form at the moment. They've got a really strong team here with Jorgensen, Cantor, Lascano, Rojas and Sousa. So I would think that, you know, they're the team that kind of missed out here. But Cofidis, another team has missed out. Iolo Cometa, Corratec, just looking through Jumbo-Visma, the kind of main ones, I would think. Q36.5, they seem to be missing everything at the moment. And Tudor Pro Cycling. So there's other teams in here that I think really have to do the chasing, Rob. This is a big surprise for me, possibly with Michael Matthews here. They're not maybe overly confident, especially with the we're on the kind of second of the climbs. The third climb seems a bit of a brute, so I think maybe it looks like they're possibly riding for Simon Yates.
Well, they've got a local rider in their team as well, not local in terms of kilometres close, but from the region. Of course, talking about their main man, their Italian rider, who is a former Giro d'Italia stage winner. A very, very good rider who's there for Jaco Alula, Matteo Sobrero. Eddie Dunbar's racing today, warming up for Saturday as well. Good to see him back racing. And this is the front of the race again. EF Education Easy Post with Caicedo there. amazingly, yeah, the second breakaway of the day. Many of the teams actually are involved in the first move, made it to the second move. The only exception, really, being Kamil Małecki of Q36.5. They didn't make the second move. Let's go and hear from one man who made it, though. Here's Timon Arensman.
Well, Timon, give us some news after this terrible crash at La Vuelta. It's good to see you back in competition. How do you feel?
Yeah, I'm really happy to be racing again. I think it's good to be back racing and end the season a bit positive. But yeah, shape was not really good last few races, so I was also planning to do Lombardia, but we decided that this will be my last race because been a long season and had to work hard to also recover and come back on okay shape to still even race. So, but I'm happy that I'm already able to race here and quite lucky with the injuries. So yeah, it's been a good season, but good that it's finished after this race.
Was it important for you mentally to come back at the races, knowing that it was a short time since your crash, really?
Yeah, indeed, that's exactly my point. Like, it's good to still race, to just end the season with the team on a positive way, and not that I end the season with a crash and trying to recover, and then first time back in the bunch is February, and yeah, it's just a nicer feeling to end the season in the bunch, with my teammates.
Well, what about the team plan for today? Filippo was in great shape a bit more than a week ago in European Championship. The plan is to try to give him the space to attack, to get rid of Wout van Aert?
Well, yeah, of course, Pipo is in a really good shape, so we'll see how he goes on the climb, and then we make a decision on top of the climb what we do.
Do you think it's the course which is hard enough to make a selection?
I think the climb is really hard, so I think there won't be a lot of guys on top of the climb. It depends, of course, how fast they race the climb, but I don't think there will be a lot of people on top of the climb, and maybe it's trying to get back and still making it a sprint.
Thank you very much. Best of luck. Success.
Well, there are strictly 4 climbs today. I think he's talking about the next one. It's 3.5 climbs, really, when you look at it on the profile. The next one is the hardest, as you're alluding to, Brian. But again, because it's been so full gas today, just to bring everybody up to speed, we have only just seen images ourselves. We've been following the race through reports all day as well. But there was talk of Filippo Ganna there. First, let's make it clear, this is his home race. He's from Piemonte, albeit very close to the border with Lombardy. And he's already been in the breakaway. He was in the first move of 11 riders that went away. That was then brought back, and then his teammate, you were just hearing from Timon Arensman, confirming that today should be his last race of the season, but maybe getting up the road and trying to buy a late lottery ticket to get in that Giro di Lombardia team at the weekend. We'll see. He's on the attack here, but the gap is coming down, and it is very clear that everybody thinks this next climb is maybe too difficult for the faster riders, Brian. One, with the attitude of Jaco Alula behind, chasing their own man in the break, who is a fast finisher. 2, in that interview you heard there from the Dutchman Arensman.
It's definitely going to hurt, and that's possibly what Jaco Alula are doing at the moment, riding on the front. But then again, we look back to the Tour de France a couple of years ago with Michael Matthews winning in Monde. That's a hard climb. Maybe not get the same form as he had then, but if you've got someone like Simon Yates, got really good form at the moment, he's already kind of showed in these Italian races. If Michael Matthews has got a minute and a half before this next climb, I know it's only quite short, it's 4.9 kilometres at 9% average. Possibly Simon Yates can go across and could possibly kind of help out there. I think that's what the scenario they're looking at, Rob. They're looking at potentially Michael Matthews getting dropped from some of the riders that are there. Might not happen for them. They want to win the race, but he's got a bit of a buffer, and so if kind of Simon Yates can go forwards, Michael Matthews can maybe get over the top of the climb, then they've got a way of maybe getting back to the front, so they've got options.
We're already into the final 40 kilometres of today's race. 1 minute 36 is the gap. It's come down by a minute since we came to where around 10 kilometres or so ago. There are Jaco Alula, a couple of Soudal quick-step riders behind, including Mattia Cattaneo. A word for Dries Devenijns, Brian, because he's been a brilliant pro. It's his last race today. 17 years racing in the pro peloton, 12 of which racing for this Soudal quick-step outfit. And we heard the other day, didn't we, from Ilan van Wilderen, that Well, very honest interview, I think, is the least we can do to describe it. That all is not well. I think many suspected that, despite, you know, the sort of gagging order that had been placed on them by the bosses. And, you know, Dries Devenijns retires. A lot of emotions going around the place. Devenijns' last race, obviously everything hanging around. They're not short of motivation to try and do something, are they, in the next few races, Soudal Quick-Step?
No, you can see that from the races they were already riding, and you know, it's the same with some of the other teams. We're kind of breaking the news about the Bolton Equities team, the Kiwi team, and you know, they've lost the title sponsor, and you know, the next stages they came out in the races that we're riding, and they're still winning in Hainan. You know, they've come out fighting, and it's good that you can see that. And with all this turmoil, of course, it's, you know, off the bike, that's what everybody's kind of talking about, but for these riders, they don't know what the future is. Devenijns, he knows what his future is, and possibly retiring at the right time. But like you say, I've been commentating for about 17 years, as long as he's been professional, and his name keeps on cropping up, especially with this team, the same team. And you know, he's worked with different leaders in the hillier races. It's always been very difficult because this team traditionally have had sprinters and kind of cobble classics riders, but you know, he seems to get over the hills pretty well. Doesn't win too much, but totally sacrifices himself every race. He's one of these guys that will go and you see him swing off, stop, absolutely nothing left. He gives everything. It's not one of these guys that, right, I've done enough, peel back, and you see him riding in the back of the peloton. He goes to the end.
His sort of lead-outs, if you like, on the climbs for Julien Alaphilippe became stuff of legend for a little while, and Alaphilippe was at his swashbuckling best. So a very happy retirement to Dries Devenijns, just as we've wished Charlie Quarterman all the best for his last race as well today. A very warm welcome back to television viewers. Brian Smith and me, Rob Hatch, have just been talking about Dries Devenijns and his career. We'd like to make sure you catch up on anything you might have missed in the coverage today. You can watch on demand, Discovery Plus and GCN Plus. Now we've had a split in the peloton coming over that last climb. Of course, we've only had a look at the front of the peloton, given the fact they've been descending, but a big split here. Quite a few riders missing out. There's Jimmy Johnsons alongside Christian Sbaragli. Zambanini in this group as well. 52 there for Cofidis with Simon Geske. And it's a rather large group behind, as some riders are desperate to get to the equally large group just in front.
We see it all the time, Rob, that you know, you make that effort over the top of every climb in the last kind of few hundred metres to get positioning on a descent, and a tricky descent like that. This is what happens. Gapping's open, you come onto the flat, and you know, you've got 20-30 seconds to chase, and nobody wants to kind of do the chasing. And when you see the riders that are here, you know, there's some significant teams and riders at the back, but you're looking at the front of the race now here. We're getting another promo of the area, the finishing town, but this is going to be about, if Jaco Lula win this one, what a brave bit of sports directing and calling for this race. Possibly the 14 riders in here, he is probably one of the quickest, Michael Matthews, but with the amount of kind of climbing talent in here, I think they're thinking it's not going to come to a sprint, and they've got a rider in the peloton that's on form, Simon Yates, the British rider, that's very capable of winning this one as well. So very, very bold move from them, and I hope they pull it off.
You're seeing images of Favria where we're heading. We've already been up the Colleretto, pardon me, Castelnuovo. We've been up at Faiallo, which was the last climb, up at Pont Canavese. Descended now into the relative flat area before our next climb, heading to Alpete. It's a 5-kilometre climb. It's steep and nasty, Brian. It is an 8.8% average, but it doesn't tell the full story, that average, because the final kilometre, compared to the rest of the climbs, relatively easy. It's at 4%. So you have the first kilometre at 13%, the second at 9%, the third at 10.5%, and then the fourth and fifth go down slightly, 7.5% and 4%. It's a mighty beast, this one, to go up to almost 1,000 metres above sea level. These riders are going to get the head start. They've got almost a minute and a half, the 14 on your screen, and it's a deluxe group, all the names flashing up there. We knew that Jumbo-Visma would be one of the teams most interested in chasing because, of course, they have Wout van Aert. They have a man less now with his Lemreza, having had to abandon the race through a crash. Through the centre of your screen, you can see Movistar. Aramburu probably climbs a little better than Ivan Garcia Cortina, doesn't he? But Garcia Cortina showed well in the last few climbs, and he's got the number 1 on his back. And this is a real fight for the front here. Jumbo-Visma just sitting back and letting other teams do the work here for right now.
They are. I still think it's going to be hard for Wout van Aert this climb. You know, like he said in his interview at the start, there's some world-class climbers in this field, and you know, if they rip it up this climb, then you know he's hoping that he's going to get a little bit of help to come back, and you know he's got some teammates there to be able to help him. But you know, it's all this effort that you have to make to start this climb from the start, and
they're starting
as
at
we
the
can
front.
see, and we can see that you know already it's breaking up in the front.
It's Harold Tejada there for Astana, Kazakhstan. On his wheel, Davide Formolo. We know he is in fine form after winning Agostoni the other day. At the back, Ugo Ull just starting to struggle and slide. Niccolò Burrati in the red in front of him, in the red and navy on the right-hand side. We'd already heard that Tillmann Andersen wasn't at his very best. And, well, on paper, he's the best climber in this group, isn't he, Brian? You just know that he's nowhere near top form, given how hard he's had to work to come back.
Yeah, it's tough, but he just wants to finish with back to racing. You can see that Michael Matthews in the blue and the white, he isn't going, and he cannot possibly, and that's why the call from the team was to put the team on the front. If we come onto this climb, I don't think Simon Yates can wait too long. The gap coming down to 1 minute and 5 seconds, so it's coming down quite quickly. So a minute in this climb is not a lot. I think Michael Matthews just has to set a pace within himself. Hopefully some riders will be coming up from the peloton to try and come across to the front of the race, and he can get dragged on. So like I was saying, it's kind of a bold move from them, but it might turn into probably a very good move if they manage to pull it off.
Chiesa di Santa Croce, the Church of the Holy Cross. Been there since the year 1000. Is this a real border region down the years with the mountains, a natural border? Warring kingdoms before Italy was even a nation just 160 years or so ago. Now then, here come Jumbo-Visma. Interesting that Eddie Dunbar has been a man at the front of the race, and he's sitting second wheel here. And look how this has split up on the opening slopes already, Brian Smith.
Yeah, it just hit me straight in the face there.
And we've had an issue. We've had a big issue behind.
Yeah, straight in the face there when I saw the size of the group. This is at the bottom of the climb, and already there's only a small amount of riders left.
Well, there's Maxi Vogels was called up there for Lotto Destiny. There's a rider as well for DSM. Bora Hansgrohe represented on the other side of the road just before it cut away. And look at what's happened to the gap. There's been a huge acceleration at the front of the peloton that you can see, because the gap has reduced to 49 seconds. Let's see if we can see what happened.
I think it's just a case of, you know, the trying to get onto the climb, Rob, maybe crunching gears, maybe, you know, touching a wheel, just something, you know, just that normally happens. If you don't make the effort of moving to the front beforehand, you get caught in the kind of melee behind.
Well, Attila Volter is here at the front. Wout van Aert is in this group on the right-hand side, just a couple of wheels back. Filippo Ganna holding on well. His former teammate Eddie Dunbar on the left as we looked at it there. The man you're looking at here is Bob Jongels, who has been in that front group, but he's just starting to slip and slide. Rui Costa's climbing well up there at the front. 14 here is Sandro Muresa, who we know can climb. Jonathan Caicedo, he's there just in front, the former champion of Ecuador. And it's still Formolo alongside Tejada who are leading things up here with just Rui Costa sitting on the wheel. They've only had the first kilometre, albeit the hardest kilometre of the climb. Closer we get to the Alps, the first time the sun's gone in, really, in 10 days or so of big Italian racing we've been having back-to-back.
Well, for Jumbo-Visma at the front, they'll be hoping that they stay at a steady tempo to make sure that Wout van Aert gets over the top of this climb. If he does get over the top of this climb within kind of striking distance of the riders in front, then it's game on. I think there'll be a few teams wanted to attack this because they don't want Wout van Aert to go over the top of this climb. Everybody knows how strong he is. So I'm expecting attacks. Yeah, the attacks have to come. It seems to be eased up a little bit because it's kind of regrouping. This group has got bigger.
Well, Cofidis up there. They've got Guillaume Martin today. Dunbar's following this initial move from Martin. Jorgensen's up there. Cattanio's looking good. And I'm looking for Wout van Aert. He's about halfway down this particular group.
He's slipping a little bit. These are the hard parts for him. You know, like you say, the first kilometre, very, very difficult. And if he can get over this and settle into this climb, even Ghana's there for Ineos. So I think a few teams are to kind of really attack this, but Wout van Aert is starting to kind of get a little bit distanced. He may come back, his teammates may kind of help him come back, but you know, this is what he was fearful of, that the kind of pure climbers would make it very difficult for him, and this is what they're doing.
Keep your eyes on a Cofidis move here, because there was a chat on the radio. One rider still there for Martin.
I think it's
looks
Rochas.
as though the rider's come there. Rochas has come to help him.
Yeah, that's what he was calling for, because I think Guillaume Martin showing some decent form at the moment, but yeah, this climb just making it very difficult for everybody.
So Wout van Aert dropped from the first group. It's not done yet, as you see Matthews radioing in to say he's on his way back. He's got his teammate who's a little further behind here in Eddie Dunbar. Haven't spotted Simon Yates yet. Cattanio's in the group as Rochas is pulling them along. Jorgensen for Movistar on the left-hand side. The man you're looking at here is Filippo Fiorelli, who's a fastest finisher. Oh, and 3 wheels just ahead of him. Movistar defending champion in this race, Ivan Garcia Cortina, with number 1 on his back right.
Yeah, difficult one. You can also see at the front here, Michael Matthews has come back to do his kind of team duty. I thought if he can get over this climb, he might stand a chance in a reduced sprint, but no, he seems to be riding. I haven't seen Simon Yates either. Eddie Dunbar is the rider there. Simon Yates just coming in the second group. He was the second rider in that second group, so he's got a little bit to do.
Ghana just at the back of that group there with Wout van Aert. So the group just gone under the trees there with 30 kilometres to go. Aresman is about to be caught. It's a very good turn, as well as Uhl being caught now. And this group is starting to pull out a decent enough gap.
It is Mark Hirschi just at the back of the group as well. Then we got a gap to Simon Yates' group. So hard effort here. And I have to say that the effort of Michael Matthews to go over the steepest parts, he's I don't think he has to do a little bit of riding, but if he can kind of stay in here, he's such a quick finisher that I think they have to kind of play that card. But you cannot really kind of go with Rochas at the moment, just let him go. They seem to be looking after Eddie Dunbar, but if he can survive, then you know there's an opportunity for Jacob Alula to still win this one.
Sean Flynn, the man who's been in both breaks today, about to be caught, as we see 4 riders remain at the front of the race. Tejada is in the turquoise jersey. Left-hand side, first rider just putting on the pace, wearing 211, is Formolo in the black and white. 5th career win last week, and he won them down in the finish in Lisonnet. Who cost a 3rd wheel, that fluorescent yellow on his back for Intermarché, and in the pink jersey, Jonathan Caicedo. Jaco Alula chasing. Group behind starts to take shape, and in fact Filippo Ganna is still in this group as opposed to the group behind. He's hanging on there.
Yeah, he is, and hanging on well. Same with Soudal Quickstep. They've got a couple of riders in here as well. Looks like Cattaneo. Could be, is it Baggioli, just kind of sheltered behind, but this Michael Matthews doing a good job here. Got himself in that break, now helping Eddie Dunbar. I was kind of half expecting Simon Yates to be here, but I think he was just in the second group, just taking a look back now. There he is there in this small group just behind, so there's an opportunity for Simon to get across here, but look at the damage that's been done.
There's Wout van Aert.
He just has to be careful. He's got one teammate just behind him. Like I said, just he has to pace this one. If he can come back, he can come
and
back.
Look at the names who are here as well, Brian. There's some big names in this particular shot here. You've got the likes of Ulysses there, Mollema's there. There's lots of riders to come back with, aren't there?
And definitely they want to come back.
So this is the Wout van Aert group further down the hill. Over halfway up it now. And Van Aert has a teammate in here in the shape of Valter. Ulysses always a factor in these races, and he's there. Of course, he'll be happy that his teammate is at the front of the race at the moment in the shape of Formolo, and here she is following in the second group. Here's Dries Devenijns, and this looks like it's not far off being the final time in his career that he's been out at the front of a race and he's about to be caught. And he might be able to do something more for his teammates, because those leading
100%.
the group behind are now wearing Soudal Quick-Step jerseys.
You don't have to think about it. 100% he'll do something. That's the type of rider he is. He's done his job. He's got himself in the breakaway. But he just wants more the whole time. He just wants to kind of help, and it's magnificent to see. But these four riders, not too sure what gap they've got, Rob. They started with about almost a minute's advantage. They look as if they're kind of riding well. So it's definitely Formolo at the front for UAE. They've got Hershey in the group behind. So it's all about distances over the top. We still got one climb to go, 4.4 kilometres, 3.4. It's not as hard as this one, but two quick descents, one after another. And we'll soon be into the finish. So it will all depend on the time gaps at the top of this one.
Next climb more of a drag, isn't it, than this, which is a real climb in all senses. Look at this, how narrow the road is. Hidden there in the woods. Next kilometre kicks up again right now, and you see that motorbike at around 7.5%. Final kilometre at around 4%. 2Ks to go in this climb. Rui Costa, Davide Formolo, Harold Tejada, alongside Jonathan Caicedo. Here's Mosca about to be caught, as is Merisa, and the monument winner previously in Youngles. Now then, you can see that behind, Devenijns has already done his bit. He must have put one big turn in, because Soudal Quick-Step have broken away from the next group with their two riders. Catania Bajoli, the only man who can hack it with them at the minute, is Ireland's Eddie Dunbar.
Yeah, not the best of year with the injury, Eddie Dunbar, but looking good here. With Catania and Bajoli, as you've already mentioned. Second group, kind of hard to see who is with them, but I think Soudal Quick-Step with Catania here, they have to close this gap on the climb, because we've got a quick descent, very difficult to bring anything back, and then another drag. Bajoli, as we know, on good form, good finisher from a small group as well, so this is good for them, but they have to kind of shut the gap down. Everybody else looks as if they're just trying to survive more than anything.
Jacopo Mosca on home roads as well up in Piemonte. It is Catania though, who's a rider from Lombard. Just 15 seconds, they can see the lead of the race ahead now. And 1.5 kilometres to the top of this climb. Formolo's finishing the season in some flying form, isn't he?
He's doing it all, isn't he? He's doing it from the front. No one else is giving him that turn. I think they were hoping to maybe come over the top with some sort of advantage. That's not going to happen. They might know what's happening. They might not know what's happening behind. Very difficult when it kind of breaks up this quickly. But I tell you what, this group and the Catania-led group and the group behind, they're still within it. Wout van Aert could be maybe a minute down already, so is that a little bit too much? We'll have to kind of wait and see, but you know, anybody within about 30 seconds over the top of this is still winning this with a chance of winning.
There on the graphic there, that wasn't Devenijns, that of course is Bajoli, who's with Catania and Dunbar, and now there's another passenger, and UAE Emirates. Well, we should expect it of them. They've been in numerically fantastic positions throughout all of these races towards the end of the season. They've got Formel at the front, and now they have Mark Hirschi in the chasing quartet. The final kilometre of this climb's easier as Wout van Aert really starts to struggle. I think he's gone a little deep here on the climb. He had Valter behind him. He's now got him in front of him, and there's a bigger gap to the chasing riders. This is looking hard now for Wout van Aert.
Yeah, another of his teammates pop up here. He'll be hoping to keep both of them with him and try and come back. Look, there's every possibility. You never know what's going to happen in front. If they race all the way into the finish, then it's game over. But any bit of hesitancy in the fronts, you know, even losing a minute on this climb, you know, they can come back.
27 seconds now back to this group from the front. They've lost a little bit of power, and that's because those behind are also able to make it up as well. Jorgensen is chasing.
I think Simon Yates has made it to the back of this group.
And that makes us a stronger position then for Jaco Alula, doesn't it?
Yep, there he is. So he's made a big effort. He may be out of position at the bottom of that climb.
Well, we saw the crash, didn't we, at the start of the climb, and there were so many riders caught up in that split there that it may well have conditioned the race for them in a negative fashion.
Not really panicking and, you know, managing to stay in there. So he's made the effort at the right time, just as many were starting to kind of suffer in this climb. It's what... When you hit a climb and it's very steep at the bottom, you have to really pace it, because if you go out into the red there, the rest of the climb is pure torture.
These are the following groups. Gap down to 16 seconds now as we look at Alpete. Kind of valley, as you can see. On a plateau, and temperatures will only be cooler up here. We're at 900 metres above sea level. Really starts to get cool, even if you've got nice sunny crisp days up here, and well, it's coat weather already. The rest of it, it's a shorts and t-shirt job. Oldest rider in the race plan at 40 years of age.
Yeah, he's going to hang in there. Mosca just going on the tail as well, so you know, riding well.
Guillaume Martin, Sylvain Moniquet, Sandro Meures, who was dropped from the breakaways here as well with Jorgensen, as well as Catania. That is not David Hines. That, of course, is Bajoli. There's Simon Yates, Eddie Dunbar, and Mark Hirschi. And at the front, they're more or less over the top now. There you go. Past, present, and well, maybe the future if we come back again, because that was an interesting climb. We've got the Copper Museum there, and they're going for gold here with 29.5 Ks to go. Seconds back to this chase group. Dunbar on the front now, and no real impetus here. This is where the front quartet can start to gain, Brian.
Yeah, they can. They've made a big effort already, but so have these guys. They've kind of chopped the gap down. It's a case of another couple of riders just coming across there before the top. This will happen in this descent. If you take the chance, if you're 15, 20, 30 seconds down, you get an opportunity to come back. So this group will swell, but it's who wants to kind of push on. And I think Soudal Quickstep doing the right thing. Fagioli has to ride with the likes of Catania, and he's doing that. And just at the back here, it was Bob Youngos in the original breakaway that's managed to come back. I think that's Aramburu, one of the kind of favourites for Movistar as well there. So that's good. He was just on the radio to, I think, Jorgensen to say that he was there.
.5 kilometres to go. And the gap's going to 24 seconds. Fascinating tug of war we're watching here. Going into one final climb before a dive down to the finish at Fabri, I should say, pardon me.
Yeah, I think that radio communication, not a lot you can do at the moment in this descent, but I think Jorgensen will start to ride a little bit, the tall American rider. He'll ride with the Soudal Quickstep. There might be a couple of passengers in here. I think the other kind of danger man is Mark Hirschi, having Formolo in front. He will not do anything. So a very small group. The interest for me is, you know, who else is on this descent now? Can they come back? But for the moment, you know, these four riders are kind of hanging out there with a very slender advantage.
And they have to work. This is the only opportunity they have in this group. Even Rui Costa knows that.
He didn't before. Formula looked the strongest in the climb. I think Caicedo was the rider that was kind of hanging on a little bit, but he managed to come over the top. They do stand a chance, but it really depends, Rob, who chases behind. We know that Soudal Quick-Step will chase Movistar. A big opportunity with them, with Aramburu. But is there anyone else going to come back to that group?
It's a good group, isn't it? Aside from Tejano have been good, strong winners. Tejado's had a real improvement this year as well himself, hasn't he? Stepped up a level. Just get the impression, given a bit more freedom, Brian. He was out there at the Tour de France, multiple breakaways, doing things maybe even on the flat we didn't expect. He's showing he's a really solid all-round bike rider, the Colombian.
Definitely, and any of these guys are in with a chance, but it is going to be very difficult with the Jorgensen and Baggioli now kind of riding down this descent. We've still got another climb to go. 25 seconds is you could feel as if you can reach out and touch them. It's going to be a very small gap, but just looking further down the roads, can't see anybody in the picture. Oh, Coffer is just going a little bit wide in that one. Guillaume Martin,
yep. It's gone to 33 seconds. Martin just having a little issue there. Dunbar just behind him. Silvivo. He was that issue again. Oy, oy, oy. I know the cross is coming, but not yet, mate. It's a quick-fire race, the Tour of Piedmont nowadays, the Gran Piemonte, 152 kilometres, that's all. Flattish for the first 90 Ks. Since we've gone into the hills, it's been non-stop stuff. Attack after attack, 2 big breakaways. First an 11-rider move went, then that was back together quickly. A 14-rider group away after 100 kilometres of racing. 25 Ks now remain. And we've got 4 of those 14 still at the front of the race, with a big selection on the last couple of climbs behind. Chasing on, still relatively fast finishers in here. The likes of Alex Aramburu and a couple of others with great opportunities to go quickly to the line. Andrea Baggioli being one of those riders. For Soudal Quick-Step, who today are celebrating the career of Dries Devenijns, retiring after 17 long years at the top. He's already done his bit by being in the break today. Dropped though by this group. We have 27 seconds on Devenijns' teammates and a couple of others chasing behind. The likes of Wout van Aert were in the group. They've been dropped on the last climb. It remains to be seen how they can go. You saw the little graphic appear there, Brian. Next climb to start in 3.5 kilometres time, but it's the easiest of the 4 climbs on the menu today.
Yes, but it's long enough. But 4.4 kilometres in length, and with the riders chasing, it's always very difficult to chase down a descent. You can see that, you know, even in this group, you know, riding, it's, you know, they're giving each other that little bit of kind of space. It's pretty tricky, and they'll come down as quick as the group behind. It's on the next climb that's, if you got the legs, then that's where you can eat into disadvantage. But 30 odd seconds is doable, but I still think that this second group, there's plenty of fight left in them.
Chasing group from the air as the kilometres fly by now. You're looking at Matteo Jorgensen, the American rider who is on his way to leaving Movistar. He'll be heading to Jumbo-Visma, or whatever they'll be called next year. That, of course, still rumbles on in the background. No new news to bring you on that front, aside from the fact that there's now speculation in the Belgian press that there might be a Patrick Lefevere team of sorts existing next year. We'll have to wait for the latest twists and turns. Twists and turns that aren't going very well at the moment for Eddie Dunbar, who has lost contact on the descent here, Brian.
There's not a lot you can do. Why has he lost this? We never saw anything. Is it just his confidence is gone? But you don't want to have to make these efforts. They're going down this this descent pretty quickly. He'll be hoping for this climb to start, but it's kind of flattening out, and it's going to be a huge effort for Eddie to come back to that front group. I believe that he could possibly come back, but he'll be hoping that it'll go uphill first.
Well, Jorgensen now working at the service of Alex Aramburu. As you see Pozzo Vivo taking a drink there. Israel Premier Tech also, I think, had Corbin Strong on the start list today, but he was dropped on the climb. So good to see Pozzo Vivo back, and we might sound like stuck records telling you about his trials and tribulations, but he had another of those horrific injuries that plagued his career this summer. But he keeps coming back, he keeps bouncing back, and you know, even if he never comes and wins another race, Brian,
there they are,
I think
Robs.
people just, there they are, yep, coming back again. But he just keeps coming back, and it was a crash that saw another punctured lung for him, Brian, in the Vuelta a Castilla León in the middle of summer. But here he is, and most people would have given up by now, but he keeps coming back, and you just have to take your hat off to him. Whatever he does or doesn't, whether he races on another season, do you know what? Courage, determination, fight and heart, as well as being a blooming good climber on the bike.
He's an intelligent rider as well, and even very articulate when you talk to him. And like you say, you could probably accept it if it was a rider in the 20s, you know, one injury after another. But at that age, doing what he's doing is just testament to, you know, the values that he's got. He just loves racing his bike.
These four continue to race their bike with a 24-second advantage at the bottom now of the descent. They reach Cornier, and they're about to climb out of it. 20 kilometers to the finish. Finished today in Favria. We've been through once already before going in this loop around the hills. It's a town that sits right at the foot of the Alpine foothills, northwest of Italy. And you've got one Italian here at the front in the shape of Formolo. He's joined by an Ecuadorian, a Colombian, and a Portuguese. Not just any Portuguese, the former world champion in Rui Costa, who won the Rainbow Bands a decade ago.
I'm just looking at Formolo here. You know, he's got the card that Hershey is here in the second group. So, you know, he would be telling them, look, Hershey's in the group behind. I've been told not to ride. And then when we hit that climb, he'll be saying, see ya, I'm going to try and go solo. But it's a good card to have of Mark Hershey. Clearly a rider from UAE Team Emirates on form, but I think that's the card he'll be playing at the moment.
He's not coming through to take turns for the first time. You can see that now. In all fairness to him, he was the one putting most of the pace on the last climb, wasn't he? Yep, Davide Formolo being allowed to sit there because of the presence of his teammate further back. Jorgensen pulling things down well. Mosca's not going to ride. Catania certainly will. Jorgensen trying to support his teammate, who is Alex Aramburu. Movistar won this race last year through Ivan Garcia Cortina. He races his final race of the season today. He's in one of the groups that will be chasing on behind.
That's what I want to see, Rob. I want to see the next group behind, who's chasing, who's coming up. They weren't that far behind. I reckon about, what, 15, 20 seconds?
Just see Eddie Dunbar, and there we go. We had another group there, yeah, just coming into shot.
Who's in that? That's the thing. Who is in that group?
Climb coming up. Do they need to get there before then, or is
Red
there still a
jerseys.
chance?
Is that Lotto Destiny?
But here's Tejada. He's got the ever-aggressive Caicedo on his wheel. Third wheel there is Formolo. Well, he'll be playing the game here with Rui Costa. Rui Costa, no one will beat him at this game. He's the very best at it. Demonstrated again, didn't he, in the Vuelta a España. He knows exactly what to do in these situations and how to get the best out of the whole group and then himself.
Yeah, just saw in that kind of third group in the road some red jerseys. Could be Cofidis as well. You know, they've got a strong enough team trying to come back as well. But I think it's all going to happen here, Rob. You know, he exploded on that previous climb, but I think on this climb, this is where the race will be won and lost.
Climb to Pratiglione, as you've got Catania here at the front. also shown some of the best form in his career right now.
Ineos.
Ineos Grenadiers are chasing on.
Ineos Grenadiers coming back.
And look who's at the back of this group. Vincenzo Albanese is a man to look out for. Michael Matthews is still in here as well. Buitrago is returning. 117 there is Georg Zimmermann. I'll tell you also that Emmanuel Gebrexiabier is trying to get back on as well in this group. He's sitting there. 24 is David de la Cruz. I hope he's got his luggage back, by the way. He landed without his suitcase the other day.
Just look at that. 3 groups, and they're all coming back together at the same time.
And it's de la Cruz's teammate Tejada who's about to be caught. Now Formolo left-hand side. Costa has another couple of teammates in here.
Be interesting to see what Simon Yates does now. That's the interest for me. Because he's got Michael Matthews. Michael Matthews in this group. OK, Baggioli can sprint well, and Albanese and a few others. But just surviving this, I think that's what the plan was before. Just surviving, getting over the top of the climb, coming back to the race. If he can survive, that is.
Albanese, Matthews. Grit those teeth, Michael. Now, the first part of the climb's the easiest bit, but it's being ridden so quickly here. And the elastic is being stretched. It's stretching some more. Matthews has his head down. Is it about to snap? Countless times he's shown he can hang on, Brian.
Yeah, I think Eddie Dunbar was possibly quite lucky there that, you know, he was distanced on that descent, came back. The fact that Eddie's not come back to maybe kind of help him suggests that, you know, they've got other plans. I really don't think that, you know, Simon Yates would rely on his sprint against the likes of, you know, some of the other riders that are there, Baggioli and co. So I really do think that, knowing that Michael Matthews has been distanced, if it's kind of game over, if Eddie Dunbar isn't going back to kind of help him, then, you know, I think Simon really has to think about going solo. But I do believe that if Eddie came back now and just helped Michael Matthews a little bit, I think he might be able to hang on. He only needs a little bit of help.
Turner's there. Mosca alongside Gebrexiabier. By the way, there's some disappointing news on Giulio Ciccone, isn't there, ahead of the Giro di Lombardia this weekend. And if you were watching with us the other day, you'd have seen him have a crash. I'm afraid that he's not quite going to make it in time for Saturday. He's back on the bike, just cannot put out the power that is required, so he's going to end his season early. So unfortunately, Giulio Ciccone will not be racing the Giro di Lombardia for Lidl Trek. So 4% gradient here, 30 k's an hour. Mattia Cattaneo riding on the front for Soudal Quickstep.
It's painful watching Michael Matthews. He's only about 50 metres off the back. He just needs that little bit of help to come back and stay in the race. You know, Aaron Burrow's here, Hershey. There's a
Look
lot
out
of
for
good
Hershey,
sprinters.
because Hershey's attacking. Pozzovivo's trying to follow him. And there's an opportunity too for Baggioli to do the same. So Mark Hirschi going alone. And look at how explosive this man is.
Yeah, Baggioli, he's come across to him. Looked good there. Pozzovivo as well. But I think it was just on the fact that maybe they were told that Michael Matthews was just off the back there, and you know that's where the acceleration came from. But look at Baggioli. You thought Mark Hirschi looked good? He's flying.
Well, Elan van Wilder was in fine form for Soudal Quickstep the other day, wasn't he? Andrea Baggioli already signed to leave and go to Lidl Trek, but he's been a big part of the Wolfpack in the last few years, hasn't he? And here he is, and Simon Yates with Pozzovivo in the chase. Buitrago was coming up to the front as well for Bahrain Victorious. By the way, no sign of Mikel Landa, who's racing today. Dropped on that last climb. But it's Baggioli, the Italian, in the blue and white. And Hirschi, who has the Swiss champion's tunic on. And there are 16 k's to go. This group
That's
led
a
by
significant
Yates.
gap. Significant gap. I thought I would see Simon doing something, knowing that Michael Matthews was in trouble. Maybe he was kind of held back a little bit, hoping that Michael Matthews would make it. But maybe that call came into the UAE team car that now's time. Keep the pressure on. But of both of these riders, both of them, Baggioli and Hershey, can sprint. It was earlier in the week. They were sprinting with Wout van Aert. Well, he's not here today, and I would think that Baggioli, out the two of them, would be possibly, the quickest. But also the fact that when we come over the top of this climb, if they don't have enough, then there's an opportunity for, this group to come back. If Jorgensen's there looking after Aramburu, then they'll get a chance to come back, but they have to put a serious amount of work in.
Here is Jorgensen, and it's Pozzovivo's trying to follow. Buitrago third wheel. There is another Bahrain jersey behind, actually. No sign of Wout van Aert getting back on, by the way. And just on that subject, Wout van Aert rides his final road race today. He will ride the Gravel World Championships on Sunday against the likes of Alejandro Valverde. Yes, he's back for one day only, and you will be able to watch it. It's just been confirmed in the last few minutes that we're going to have live coverage across our digital platforms on Discovery Plus and GCN Plus. Of course, timings will be released in due course, but the UCI Gravel World Championships live this Sunday, and we look forward to bringing it to you.
And just a bit of news that Valverde's daughter, at 9 years of age, has got her first podium. She finished second in a race in Spain. And it turns out that Valverde, at the age of 9, finished on the podium, his first podium, finished second in the same town as his daughter did.
And it's very famous for its wine as well, Humilla, so no pressure there, eh? Jorgensen is really killing this for Movistar.
Well, I think he has to. I think they've got one of the fastest finishers there. I know that Baggioli and Hershey are quite quick. Albanese also. He was the one, was it way back in Monday or Tuesday? I can't remember. Monday, the race that they came into towards the finish.
Party every day in northern Italy at the minute.
I know,
you know that.
you get mixed up with all the days and what race it was. But yeah, Jorgensen riding. This group has all come back together. It's going to be difficult for these two to stay away. But I think if they commit the way they went up that climb, then there's an opportunity, but it doesn't look as if they're fully committed to this, Rob.
I was just wondering what was happening to the gap then, because it disappeared from the graphic, didn't it? Went down to 1 second, but I was looking behind, but still a handful of seconds. And now we've got the counter move from Alex Aramburu. Decided to try and eliminate any other competition, Brian.
Yeah, I think it was a case of possibly Jorgensen has already done a lot of bit of riding as well. Take his opportunity to try and go across. We've seen him do this a few times in the past. He's taken with him Guillaume Martin as well. So the chase is on. I've just got that feeling that this could all come back together and we could have this kind of reduced bunch finished.
That's what happened last year when Aramburu's teammate, also from northern Spain, took the win. Ivan Garcia Cortina. Aramburu, who hasn't won yet this year, but of course was on the podium in Montreal, wasn't he? It was a fantastic race from him, the 28-year-old from Ezquio Itxaso in the Basque Country.
I really do think that just giving Michael Matthews that little bit of help, he could have possibly still been there. But just look at Hershey there, that kind of glance back. Baggioli, he's maybe thinking, well, I could win this in the sprint still, from the group. But yeah, it does look as if it's all kind of coming back together.
We know Aramburu's quick, but I mean, if you look down the rest of the 3 or 4 riders up here, much of a muchness, isn't it? They're all fastish finishers. Baggioli, Hershey, we know they've got a kick. I think there will be an odd one out when the Cofidis rider comes across. We look at Sacromonte di Melmonte. Sensational view from up on high, but they're about to dive down back towards Favria. UNESCO World Heritage Site up here. Clear day, the views in this part of the world are stunning. Even down from Turin you can see, certainly in winter, snow-capped Alps. Now what are these four going to see? Are they going to see open road behind them? Or are they going to be caught again? It's Hershey here. Aramburu on the wheel. Seen Martin ride well. And Bajoli is at the back of this group. Of course, there's 3 of them who have a sprint on them. There's one who doesn't, Brian.
No, that's the man in second place, but now it comes down to the chase behind, and I just get that feeling that from what I see in the group in front, they're not overly committed. I think there's every chance that this group is going to come back all together. Then it comes down to maybe an opportunist move, because, you know, looking at the makeup of this group, there's not big numbers for any team. So, you know, it could be, you know, a really interesting one coming in the last 10 kilometres here.
The other question is, once we get down towards this last 10Ks, it goes to flatter roads. Who chases for who? Because you've got most of the fast finishers out the front. Delicate, intriguing situation. And we're about to see the last 11 kilometres play out.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's any dominant team here. And like you say, the fast finishers, there's 3 of them up the road.
And it's attack from Astana, Kazakhstan. Looks to be Tejada. In fact, no, there's 2 other riders back in here, aren't there now? Astana having 3 riders in this front group. They've been doing well over in Asia, by the way. It's the Asian Games, which is the second biggest sporting event, major games wise in the world after the Olympic Games. My favourite events to attend before COVID struck. Alexei Lutsenko took the time trial gold medal there for Kazakhstan, and Yevgeny Fedorov took the road race gold medal.
I think Lutsenko and Fedorov came in together in the road race, didn't they? Holding hands.
Over in Hangzhou in China, that at the moment. Then it takes place every 4 years.
So, with Ghana, I still believe is in here. Still stands a chance if he is.
Ben Turner's the Ineos rider you're looking at here. 107 on his back. Second to last rider. Last rider on the line is Santiago Buitrago. Keep Ryan Albanese as well. Make an effort to close the gap on the climb. And again, it might be a case of where everybody's energy levels in. How many cartridges they've got left to fire towards the end. Because you've got these fast riders here on paper, but they've been on the attack already. Here's she, alongside Bajoli and Aramburu, who's still riding here. Guillaume Martin just along for the ride on this terrain. He'll be there just hoping he gets tactical. You never know. I once saw a fantastic Domenico Pozzovivo win on the flat after a climb from a small group in the Tour of Catalonia. Got them when they were looking at each other, and that's the only thing really that Martin can hope to happen in that group. Only 7 seconds here, as you've been speculating, Brian. Is this group going to stay out in front? It's difficult to see.
Yeah, the attack started in the group behind there by Astana, but no real numbers. But there is that kind of urgency. You can see here Intermarché just deciding that, you know, enough's enough. But I can't help thinking if it comes back together, like you were just talking about there, that kind of opportunist move again. You know, we could have umpteen kind of attacks all the way into the finish.
Just looking down at Matteo Jorgensen, there's another rider in there now for Israel Premier Tech who I suggest is Nick Schultz. Didn't get a good look there. Looked like a 125 on his back. Corbin Strong, by the way, just for the record, is number 126. Didn't quite look like the shape and style of Corbin Strong. Nick Schultz would be the logical choice as well, given he's a natural climber. Just 6 seconds here as he in the whites there. Blue rider on the right side as you look at it is Aramburu. In blue and white here's Catania. I say Bajoli, pardon me. Catania's in the group behind. 2 Italians racing here for Soudal Quick Step today. And Guillaume Martin's the Frenchman in the red and white. And he'll be happy with the form he's showing ahead of Saturday and the big appointment. A race much more suited to his own characteristics. ...15 to 20 riders in the chase then.
Yeah, just looking at Little Trek riding, they've got, looks as if they've got 2 riders in here. Is the second rider, is that Tesfazion?
Gebrexiabier.
Gebrexiabier. Oh, it looks like he's the rider that's riding at the front.
Bob Jongels alongside Florian Lipovitz there in that group for Bora Hansgrohe. DSM have a representative. Green Project have got a rider in there as well. I know there are 2 riders in here now for Jaco Alula. Does that mean Michael Matthews has returned on the descent?
I think it's Eddie Dunbar and Simon Yates that's still there. But I tell you what, if I was Ghana, and this is my home race, I'd want Ben Turner to ride on the front for me.
And there is a rider riding on the front now. Ghana there sitting in 6th wheel. And it is Turner riding on the front. So Ineos Grenadiers are going for this. In the meantime, the quartet are really committed here. 5 kilometres to go, there have to be. And there's 13 seconds of advantage, which is the biggest they've had for a while.
Yeah, it was looking as if it was, you know, looking a little bit better. Purely because there was no kind of dominant team riding behind. And, you know, I was just looking at the kilometres ticking by quite quickly. But now Gebrexiabier is riding with Ben Turner. There's a possibility, but I think they need a little bit more help. And you can see that Jorgensen just trying to get in the way a little bit. This could be touch and go, Rob, if no one else helps.
It is certainly Eddie Dunbar who's got back on for Jaco Alula. That's the other rider we can see along on the left-hand side. Just gone to hide away. Potsovi was still in there for Israel Premier Tech. Koshta tries to recover and follows. It's been an intriguing, very interesting tactical game. And we've ended up with the quartet on the left-hand side of the picture. 4 kilometres remain in Gran Piemonte 2023, the 107th edition of the Tour of Piedmont. 16 seconds and growing now. Bajoli alongside Aramburu, Guillaume Martin and Marc Hirschi, with just 2 riders chasing behind now, Ben Turner and Emmanuel Gebrexiabier. Gebrexiabier giving his best because Jacopo Mosca, the local boy's teammate, is in here.
Yeah, it's a good thing they are riding, and they are riding, like you say, not for the sprinter, but for the local boy, as you say, Mosca. But they seem to be disappearing a little bit. They're not kind of really eating into this. But I have to think a little bit here, Rob, that if I was in here with, you know, 3 kind of quick sprinters, I wouldn't be entirely, you know, happy and contributing. And I don't think they will. 3 kilometres to go now, and they know each other. They know each other's got quite a good kick, so they might start to play a little game here in the running. And if they do, then this group will be on them. But for the moment, it does look as if the win's coming from the group in front. But I think Guillaume Martin, I think he has to sit back a little bit and maybe do a last-ditch effort. He has to try and do something.
Chat there between Lipovitz and Bob Jongels. Jongels just in front of Lipovitz, the German. Potsovivo moving up into 3rd wheel there. Maybe he's thinking out of bringing back his lead out like he did for Biniam Girmay at the Giro the other year. Nick Schultz is definitely his teammate in there. Approaching 2 kilometres to go, and the direction of travel of this gap's going one way. Up to 20 seconds now.
It wasn't coming back. It was for a moment, but there's just not enough firepower. And as you often get in these races, a lot of teams, a lot of riders just kind of sitting back. You know, Bora coming up now. If they wanted to, they should have come up a bit earlier, but that's the nature of the game. Everybody kind of sits back and expects everybody else to do it. Potsovivo now riding, and I think the win is definitely going to come from the 4 in front. I think Guillaume Martin is going to have a crack at some point, but I think they'll start to kind of look at each other soon.
Ben Turner's out of gas as well. He's gone. He's given his all there for Filippo Ganna, and now in this group they are looking, barring any late incident or changes, at 5th place. At the front, they can now start to think about how they're going to win, and the games have begun. They look around, they fan across the road. Martin sits at the back. 18 seconds, and at the front it's breaking up as well. They're going to go off in search of their own glory, and it is Bahrain Victorious who tried to do that through Santiago Buitrago. Georg Zimmermann is on his wheel. And there's no consensus really here now. Martin comes through, still rides. And there's the first little bit of soft pedalling. Chance to take a drink as they go under the Flamme Rouge with 1 kilometre to go. Mark Hirschi in the white. And the blue with the M on his back, it's Alex Aramburu. The blue and white jersey belonging to Soudal Quick-Step now. Following this move is Andrea Bajoli. And at the back, the odd one out. The Grand Tour man, Guillaume Martin, with 3 punchy fast finishers. And it is Martin who's going to hit them. This is the big one. And now somebody has to chase. That somebody is Bajoli, who does not want to let him out of his sight. And Martin doing the best he can, doing the only thing he can really do. 500 metres to go. It's Martin who's going to be here. He'll look around. At the minute, they won't see the chasers. It's Aramburu who's going to try and maybe come to the front here. He wants the position around the corner, and he's going to sprint at the corner, perhaps. No, he'll look. 300 metres to go. But he's at the front. Perhaps not where he wanted to be. Let's see. 1 more turn to go. Finish line now up ahead. Coming up into the final 150 metres, and it is going to be Hirschi on the right as we look at it in the white. Aramburu on the left-hand side, but it's Bajoli who's hit the front. Bajoli's there up against Hirschi. Hirschi's still at the front, but Bajoli now coming to the front, and Andrea Bajoli does it again for Soudal Quick-Step. They are not going anywhere without a fight. Brilliant win for Bajoli. And on his home race, it's a victory from the rest of the bunch of 5th place for Filippo Ganna. Bajoli had that one. Aramburu, maybe you could question a decision or two there from him. Did not have the speed. Hirschi was close as well. And Martin, well, did what Guillaume Martin could do from that group. An entertaining race, Brian. A very unpredictable one.
Yeah, good finish. Could have gone either way. You know, you can see a lot of respect between all 3 of them. You know, they were 3 very quick sprinters, but I just think that fire in the belly from Soudal Quick-Step at the moment just, you know, helped catapult Bajoli to victory there, and it was well earned. And you know, he has shown form this week. It's great to win a race like that in your home country, especially under these kind of dark clouds and things like that. But I think, as you said it during the comms, you know, with Aramburu, there's 200 metres to go when he turned left. He wanted to lead that one out. You could see Hirschi at the back there. He was waiting to surprise. But on the run-in, Rob, see when Guillaume Martin went, who was the first to react? Bajoli. It just seemed to me as he really, really wanted this one. And you could see him on the last climb as well. He did have the power. And I think at the end, you know, the best man won in the day.
I think it was a rather large crash going into that final corner in the group behind as well, unfortunately. You could see them coming in 1s and 2s. But here is that finale again.
Just watch Hirschi. Hirschi is the man at the back, and he's trying to surprise. He's coming with pace. But just as he comes, Bajoli does open up at the right time. And then it's a drag race. Hirschi was never past Bajoli, but that drag race was great. It's, you know, you won that quite, and from the headshot it looked a lot closer. But Hirschi just never made it back. I think Bajoli just opened up at the right time.
24-year-old Andrea Bajoli takes his 7th career win and Soudal Quick-Step's 55th victory of the 2023 season. They remain a fighting force, and they continue to fight all the way to the last. It's Bajoli, it's Hirschi, Aramburu. 4th place there, going to Guillaume Martin. And behind, despite Zimmermann and Costa coming in together, they could not get the better of Filippo Ganna, who took the 5th place. Amazing, isn't it, Brian? Because on paper, start of the season, let's say, you'd have Aramburu as the fastest rider in the group there. And again, you just wonder about the decisions. We see the crash behind. Oh, no. The first rider who goes down, by the way, from Eulocometa is Vincenzo Albanese.
Yeah, that's what bike racing is, just making decisions. We're going to see it again, aren't we? This is Italy. Just slides out, takes Mosca. It's these decisions, Rob, that you make in races. That on that descent, coming across to the two in front, if he hadn't have done that, he wouldn't have been in with a chance of a win. And then he sprinted okay, but trying to sprint from the front when, you know, I think the best lead out, when Hershey came round the last corner, he had momentum. It's just that Baggioli kind of opened up at the right time, but this is a nice shot. A lot of respect between them. They could have messed around in the way in there, because everybody knows that each other's strengths and weaknesses. They could have messed around. Guillaume Martin should have sat on a lot earlier, in my book. I know I would have. You know, you guys can sprint, I can't. I'm going to sit on. I'm going to put everything into the effort, but it's just the reaction of Baggioli with about 500 metres to go.
And here we go. What an image. Dries Stevenijns in his last professional race of his career. 17 years at the very top end on the winning team. A wonderful way to finish up, helping Andrea Baggioli to win the Tour of Piedmont. So Favria goes quiet again after all the noise of the fair coming to town.
Well, we had more than a fight between two cows today.
Well, the ringleader of it all, in the end, was Andrea Baggioli. I'll wait to get the classified results for you, but you've seen the top five there.
Yes.
And here's the winner.
Andrea, did you expect to win today?
Expect a bit, yes, because the shape was really good already in the last races, especially in Bernocchi, and so today we start with the victory in mind, and it was a really fast start with all the 90k flat, so it was pretty hard to control the breakaway, and we had Dries in front, and on the last climb, Kata did a really super job, and on the small bump at 20k to go, we went in four, and yes, we pulled full gas because the bunch was always behind 10-15 second maximum. So we arrived at the sprint, and yes, I won.
How good is it to win, and especially in Italy and at the end of the season?
Yeah, it's super nice, and next year I will leave the team. I spent my first 4 years of career here, so I'm really happy to leave the team with this victory.
Complimenti.
Grazie.
And if there's no selection on Saturday, that too could well be Andrea Baggioli's goodbye from Soudal Quickstep, of course. There's the Tour of Guangxi coming up as well, which is a World Tour event, so we'll have to see what happens with selections there. It would seem as though Andrea Baggioli was saying goodbye with a victory. Aramburu maybe going to sleep a little bit there tactically. Baggioli certainly getting the better of everybody else. Highly selective race. A lot of big names on the start list, not all of them got anywhere near the finish. Andrea Baggioli wins for Soudal Quickstep, beating Mark Hirschi, Alex Aramburu, Guillaume Martin and Filippo Ganna. Costa, Zimmerman, Marcelluzzi, Tejada and Tiberi make up the top 10. Andrea Baggioli wins the 107th Giro del Piemonte, nowadays known as Gran Piemonte, after 152 lightning fast kilometres. You're watching on the telly. Time for a quick commercial break. Be back with more reaction in a minute. So we'll leave Favria for now for those of you watching on our digital platforms and go and have a look at what happened throughout the day as we left Borgo Franco di Ivrea. It was a lightning fast start to the day. That wouldn't change. 11 riders in the first break, 14 in the second, shown on your screen now. They got into the final 35 kilometers before it started to break up. Tejada and Formula going on the penultimate climb of the day. Caicedo and Costa able to go with them. All the rest would start their journeys back to the peloton. A lot of character on the roads too. Some carrying a bit too much weight up the climb now. They were off the bike. Wout van Aert, big pre-race favourite. Struggling though on a very steep third of 4 climbs. He would not see the front of the race again. It'd start to come together again over the top with Bajoli and Catania working well for Soudal Quickstep. The break caught with 18 kilometres to go. And on to the final climb of the day. Climb to Pratiglioni. Easiest of those 4. And just with 4Ks to go to the top, Mark Hirschi would be the man to attack. Bajoli was quickly onto him though. 2 other riders with a dart out and look for him. Alex Aramburu being the first. Guillaume Martin following him. Not the Frenchman's natural territory to go over the top and on the descent, but he raced really well. And all 4 contributed. A team pursuit for the last 10 kilometres. Aramburu, Martin, Bajoli and Hirschi. Behind there was more than one occasion where it looked as though it would come back together. But already into the last few Ks, it went. Martin tried to go with 500 metres to go. The only option really for him to win the race. Bajoli was attentive. Bajoli also followed well going into the final few hundred metres. Aramburu moving to the front here. He took the first corner. He'd also take the final corner. But leading it out, it was the man on his wheel in the perfect position. Andrea Bajoli was that man. Hirschi having to come from further back. Bajoli going through the centre. Aramburu not really having the power he'd like. A crash behind. Albanese taking a couple of other riders out. Bajoli at the front, taking the victory. Welcome back, everybody. Andrea Bajoli winning for the 7th time in his career. Only the 2nd time in his native land in Italy. His team's 55th of the season. And one, given all that's going on, that will mean a heck of a lot. Let's get some more reaction now.
Tell us, we knew it would be a really hard race. You decided to attack quite early in the race. Take us through your effort along the day.
Well, we try to stay much close possible to the first part of the bunch in the climb. I suffer a lot, but yeah, in the end the legs is quite good. So I'm just a little bit disappointed because we haven't close to the first chaser, but yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it was a really perfect situation. You got rid of Van Aert, you got rid of Matthews also at some point. It was a sprint for you. Unfortunately, it was hard to control.
Yeah, but I can say just thank you the teammate also, Ares man, after the bad crash in the Vuelta. Today I have worked a lot in the climb to try to keep me in the best position ever. So all team have worked really well. Yeah, maybe the victory can help a little bit for the moral, but yeah, after the European, after the crash, to be here Yes, he's nice.
Yeah, just a word about you. Your shape seems to be going better and better after La Vuelta. You were really strong at the European Championship, just in 14.8. And here you were really strong because the course was really hard and you survived.
Yeah, it's nice. The shape goes better and better. But I can say finally arrive also the holiday because I'm fucked.
Apologies for the language there by Filippo Ganna, as much as you might be able to understand the sentiment. Holiday time for Ganna and many. In one World Tour stage race to come over in China, in Guangxi. One monument to go. That's on Saturday. Counting down to Saturday, Brian. It's going to be a fantastic fight, isn't it? Rog and Pog to come back. Carapaz as well. Lots of big actors, as well as Remco Evenepoel, who's been doing what he normally does. Doesn't race as much, but my does he prepare.
I think a few of them missing today, thinking about Saturday, which is a shame for this race. When you look down the Palmares, it's a, back in the day, it was, a top race, and, it's a who's who of, who was around then. I look at the Palmares and I'm thinking, Merckx and, everybody who was somebody back in the day has won this race. So it's a pity they didn't got, more big hitters, but I thought we had a very entertaining race.
Here's another Belgian.
Take us through this race. It was a hard race from kilometer zero. Your team tried to control. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we tried. It was a super fast start, and basically everyone tried to be in the break. So we had a really difficult time to have a good break on the road, and in the end was even still a strong break, big group. So I had the feeling the whole day we were a bit in trouble, and we need to pace hard already on the first climbs, and then on the long steep climb it was just too hard for me.
Yeah, how did you feel today then? How would you rate your shape ahead of Sunday?
It's a new race and a completely different race. One where I'm really excited for, so really looking forward to that. But also today I wanted to have a result, and my team believed in me and went for it. But it just didn't work.
An honest assessment from Wout van Aert, and you did get the feeling once we saw him being dropped that he wasn't probably coming back, Brian.
No, maybe if this race was in July, in the middle of the Tour de France, he might have been there. But I think he said he's got good form, but maybe not kind of top form. And I think you could just hear it in his voice there when they mentioned Sunday, another chance to get a world title. It's something that excites him. Of course, he was looking for the result today, but just the way that the race was happening in front of them, even missing, not getting a rider in that 14-man group that might have kind of dropped back. They tried to kind of look after him, but you could see him on that climb that it was just a little bit too hard.
Well, this is the easiest part of the day for this man. Step up onto the podium. Andrea Bajoli.
Not even using the rail like Mark Kershaw there.
Oh, you heard that. And that comes back from the Biniam Girmay incident, doesn't it? I wonder if the bottles have been out in the sun, but yes, look away please when you open.
Okay.
Sounds as though we've almost got the okay. The athletes are there and ready. Aramburu, of course, is going to be disappointed after getting so close. He's such a very, very strong racer. He's lacking that one or two massive victories that you sometimes think he's capable of.
And he was just missing one or two teammates as well. I think every team was. Ghana was missing. If Aaron's would have kind of hung on there, who knows what would have happened to the run-in. But that's bike racing and you make decisions. I think Aramburu made maybe a couple of wrong decisions, but he made the right decision, I think, in attacking across that gap.
His attack made it essentially a more important race. Oh, interesting races. Rovegni was spotted down there. Animated discussion. Oh, the mayor's here. No prize for guessing who that is. So in third place. Alex Aramburu.
Alex Aramburu viene premiato da Fausto Francisca, sindaco di Borgo Franco.
The rider from the Basque Country, northern Spain. Racing for Movistar, who, by the way, yesterday put a tweet apologising to their supporters for a lack of transfer announcements. They have been promised. It's amazing, isn't it, this changing landscape of social media pressure now. And to apologise to fans for not announcing who's racing. It's all part of the game now. Mark Hirschi, racing for UAE. Racing really well at the minute. Not many races he's on at the moment where he doesn't end up on the podium. Winning in Luxembourg overall. Up down the podium at the start of the week in Lombardy. Here he is over the border in Piemonte, finishing second. Imagine he's going to be an important piece in the jigsaw for Saturday.
Vince l'edizione 2023 della Gran Piemonte Credit Agricola verso la
A day that Andrea Bajoli will remember. A victory in Italy. Possibly his last race in Soudal Quick-Step colours. He's moving to Lidl Trek at the end of the season. And the last race of a teammate who helped set up the victory's career. Dries Stevenijns part of the winning team today after 17 years in the pro peloton. Bajoli, we hope, has got plenty more years left as a pro. He's picked up just his 7th victory today. But again, Soudal Quick-Step showing us what they do best. A 55th season win. And in honour of the winner, here is the Inno dei Mamelli. Andrea Bajoli, one of the riders who comes from Lombardy, winning in neighbouring Piemonte. And one of the teams in the whole existence of the sport, taking yet another win. And with no resolution to what's going on behind the scenes inside anyway for any of us in the public, I think it will be a very popular victory. Bajoli wins for Soudal Quick-Step. It's a home win in Italy. in Gran Piemonte. It's Bajoli, Hirschi, Aramburu, Martin and Ganna, with Costa, Zimmerman, Marcelluzzi, Tejada and Tiberi all in the top 10. And a good day for the Italians, actually. 4 riders in the top 10, 2 in the top 5.